Hey plant fam! Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jaclynn. This is my jungle, and if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you for still being here. So today I have for you another episode of 12 Days of Plantmas, and it is day 7. Today I've got a really cool Anthurium hybrid for you from Indonesia. This is one of my Anthurium Dorayaki. So I finally figured it out. The internet told me that this is a hybrid of crystallinum and clarinervium, and it was first hybridized by a farmer in Indonesia who went by the nickname of Uncle Udo, and he named it actually after a Japanese pancake-like dessert because of how round the leaves are. And I knew I always loved the name of this plant because it sounded Japanese, but I didn't actually know that it was legitimately named after a Japanese dessert. So this is my Japanese pancake. This is Anthurium Dorayaki. And again, this one comes from Indonesia, and it was hybridized there by Uncle Udo. I love the origin story of this one. I think it's really, really cute. Another interesting thing that I learned about this one is that it actually grows closer to the ground, arguably more of like a crawler without necessarily being a crawler, instead of one that grows upright. So I have noticed that my Dorayaki do tend to be a little bit more bushy. They grow a little bit more compact. As you can kind of see, this is her newest leaf, so I'm just like showing you that one only because it's the nicest one. But they are characterized by their very round leaves and their kind of like cuppy nature to them. I like the way that the lobes overlap, but they are very, very round. And in case you guys didn't know, I actually crossed this one with Forgetii, which is also super duper round. So I'm excited to see what beautiful round babies we get out of her next year. I just recently harvested the seeds. In case you guys missed that, I did post it as a short. I posted it over on Instagram. If you're not following me over on Instagram, you definitely should. Probably going to be doing a giveaway over there soon, so you should definitely go and follow. But I want to do a deeper dive into the origins of this plant because it is a more popular Anthurium, and honestly, it's a way more easygoing Anthurium than a lot of the other ones because it's not a velvet leaf Anthurium. And it makes sense that clarinervium is in there now that I think about it, because the veining on this is like a lot of extra veins on veins. But it is a very hardy hybrid. It has really, really thick petioles. The leaves are very, very thick. This one's not fully hardened off yet, but the leaves are very, very thick, and it's been a very robust plant for me, and it's been a very easy grower for me. Dorayaki was one of the first Anthurium hybrid that I acquired a little over maybe 2 years ago, or a little less than 2 years ago rather, and I still have her. Actually, she's right there. You can kind of see her in the corner a little bit. She's still in moss perlite. That's how long I've had her for, because I used to have all my Anthurium in moss perlite before I started transferring them to soil because I was terrified of putting them in soil, but I actually do a lot better with them in soil because the moss dries up really quickly, but we're gonna get there. The lighting on this one is what you would expect, bright and direct light. They grow on the ground. They don't grow out in the direct sun. And Anthurium in general just don't need a lot of bright light. So watering on her, honestly, this one you can let go dry in between waterings and she's not gonna hate you. She's not gonna give you brown crispy leaves. These are older leaves. They were like that when I got her. But one of the ways you know that you're underwatering your Anthurium is when you start to get brown crispiness to the leaves. You'll know that you're overwatering your Anthurium if you're getting yellowing, browning spots that are mushy on your leaves. So it does take a little bit of a learning curve, and it does depend on what you have it in. So clearly I grow most of my plants in clear plastic so I can monitor what's going on in here. It helps me know when to water my plants, because you can see I just watered her. You can still see that she's moist in there. So that actually helps me a lot. It helps me monitor the roots and the root growth when she just roots to the wall everywhere. I know it's time that maybe she needs a bigger pot. But watering on her, I don't find to be super finicky. If you let her go dry for a few days in between watering, she is not going to punish you for it the way that other Anthurium might. But Crystallinum and Clarinervium are both pretty hardy Anthurium that are great for beginners. So if you're looking for a hybrid, the Dorayaki is a really good place to start if you are newer to collecting Anthurium and you're worried about growing it in your home. So soil on her, I do what I call a semi-chunky soil mix, which just basically means that I put less bark in here than I normally would for other aroids. Because Anthurium do tend to be a little bit on the thirstier side, I don't like to put them in too chunky of a mix because, girl, you're going to be watering them like every day and nobody has time for that. So I know a lot of people grow them different ways. Some people grow them in pond, some people grow them in leca, some people grow them in moss just all the time, tree fern. You do whatever works for you. What works for me is soil. It's easier for me to know when to water these and how much water to give these when it's in my semi-chunky soil mix. So that is what works for me. And I'm just here to let you know not to be afraid to put your Anthurium in soil. Start out with something cheaper and a little bit hardier if you're afraid. But I've had plenty of success. All of my Anthurium that are growing behind me are in soil, except for a few that I haven't transferred out yet. This one is still in like a tree fern mix, but I have such a hard time keeping her well watered. So the soil for me just holds on to and retains the moisture for longer, and that is why I use a soil-based medium. If you want to go soilless, you got to do what works for you, girl. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you what I do and what has worked for me. So for temperature and humidity on this one, you're definitely not going to be wanting to grow her in like a desert-like environment. She's not going to like that. She's not going to be super finicky and super picky about humidity like other velvety leaf Anthurium can be, because she's not a velvet leaf Anthurium. So she can tolerate lower humidity, but if your humidity is like non-existent in your home, she's not really gonna like that very much. I find that plants like this absolutely can survive in lower humidity and colder temperatures, but they won't thrive and they might not grow that well for you. So I do encourage you to keep your Anthurium in higher humidity and higher temperatures if you can. So my plant room here stays at about 60% humidity and 75 degrees Fahrenheit on average. And clearly she's pretty happy with that. So I am not mad about her. She's been really easygoing, easy growing for me. When she was smaller, I had her in a glass cabinet, and now that she's larger and this room is pretty warm and humid on its own, it's kind of basically just its own little greenhouse at this point. So she's pretty happy in that environment. Fertilizer! Anthurium are hungry. They're hungry. They're heavy feeders, so you're going to want to feed them. You're going to want to make sure that you're fertilizing them well. I, with every single watering, will fertilize. Obviously, I'm not using an NPK every single time that I water. I did a whole in-depth watering routine video. I can leave it linked for you guys with everything that I put in my water and why, and how to know what you can and what you shouldn't water with every single time, because I know that fertilizing can be a little bit scary when you're newer to growing plants. And if you're newer to Anthurium, you're definitely going to want to get yourself onto a fertilizing routine if that's not something that you already do with the plants that you have. So I do find that my Anthurium also really love to foliar feed, so I do use the Super Growth Elixir. Just really quick, I swear. Super Growth Elixir from Urban Gardener on my Anthurium. I do this at night when the lights go off, and so that you don't ever want to spray anything on your leaves during the day unless you absolutely have to, and then don't put them back out under grow lights or in the sun if they have anything on their leaves, because they will burn. But I love this stuff. My Anthurium love this stuff. They're very happy and healthy, and it's very easy to just go around and spray everything once or twice a week. And I do think that it helps me maintain their leaves looking as nice as they do. So fertilizer is really important for your Anthurium. And if I'm going to recommend 2 products to you to put in your water every single time you water, it is going to be that Urban Gardener Super Growth Elixir. I do use it in my water as well as on the foliage. So I put that in my water every single time I water my plants, all of my plants. And I also put fish shit in there every single time, which is a soil conditioner. Those are 2 things that you cannot overuse on your plants, and they will benefit your plants' growth and resilience. So I do recommend both of those products very highly, if that counts for anything. I've been using them for a few years now, and I couldn't imagine not using both of those products every single time that I water my plants. And unfortunately, I can't really speak to propagating these because I haven't, but I have cross-pollinated, and that was fun. So I definitely recommend trying that if you ever get an opportunity to do it. The seeds are germinating now, and I hope to grow out some really cute little babies from this guy. So if you guys want a more in-depth video on how to cross-pollinate your Anthurium, I would love to help you out with that, and let me know in the comments below, and I'll make it for you. So that's really it though. That's everything that I learned about Dorayaki. I think the name and the origin are adorable, just as adorable as this plant itself. And if you don't have one, this is a really good place to start if you are newer to Anthurium. I also actually have a ton of forget-eye babies in my shop, so if you're not following me over on Palm Street, you definitely should be, because I go live and I sell cute little babies, and that's where I'm going to be selling the babies from this cross when they are ready next year. So you should give this video a thumbs up though, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss the rest of 12 days of Plantmas. I hope that you've been enjoying it so far. I hope that you're having a wonderful day. And I also hope that I see you again tomorrow for the next one. Bye.